goodness. Big move Monday. Look out. A way to end the tournament.
So what's happening, people? Welcome back to the Quad Pod, sponsored by Poseidon Strength and Adidas Wrestling. Make sure you use our discount codes at checkout whenever you visit our awesome sponsors. All info for them is below. As always, it is great to be joined by Robbie, Austin, Kevin. I am Holmes. This is episode 26, and normally I shout out a professional player, usually football, since we also are in football season. But today I'm going to go with myself because I wore 26 in college. There's my college football helmet, so I'm going to go with me. Yes, I did plan that completely. Anyway,
yeah, who was Saquon Barkley anyway?
Exactly. Considering
this is also our last episode. It's once we had to Holmes' helmet.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. No, I'm going to shout out myself because last week was my birthday, so that's what I do. There you go.
There you go.
But yeah, Saquon also a Lehigh Valley guy too, so I think he would appreciate it. I think he's okay with it. But no, the season is now here, gentlemen. We had some actual action last week. We will dig into All-Star Classic. We'll talk about the open tournaments, talk about some of the duels that went on, specifically Utah Valley and Stanford. And then I got a chance. I wasn't sure if you would want to, even though it is Adam Hall. So I think you should.
I know it was tough. It was a tough feeling.
Exactly. But then I also got a chance to talk to Enoch, who's now the director of wrestling at IMG. So I'll have a clip from that, and that'll kind of round things up for episode 26. But like we do, we always weigh in before we get to the action. And for my weigh in today, as I said last week on the 30th was my birthday. I'm going to shout out the man whose birthday is today, and that is Big Larry behind me. So today is my Uncle Larry's 76th birthday. He's currently celebrating it with my family at home in Pennsylvania. So yeah, shout out to him, as well as shout out to my guy Cliff Fretwell and his wife. Their birthday is tomorrow, so Tuesday, when people are listening to this episode, is when their birthday is. And yeah, so me, Cliff, and Jamil, all Scorpios. Our birthdays, like 4 or 5 days apart. We talk basically every single day. So shout out to all the men that and the women that have birthdays in this stretch of 10 to 15 days, including
and
Big
two
Larry,
of you smile.
Uncle Larry. Yeah, two of the three. Even though Jamil probably cracks the most jokes in the group. 2 of the 3. So, but yeah, shout out to the birthdays. Shout out to Big Larry, man. Still got the jab. And I potentially could be doing a charity boxing match. The last time I ever step in the ring is probably going to be for charity, and only because I would like to, because it's been a while. But on to Robbie. It is now your time to take the floor.
So last week I gave a shout out to the officials. Not going to give that same shout out this week after what I saw this weekend, but I do want to give a shout out.
That's the problem.
I know that was the problem. I do want to shout out some other people who don't get enough credit in the medical staff, the trainers, and everybody who doesn't get enough attention for all the hard work they do. Had a scary thing happen at Southeast Open. Tyler Tracy from NC State landed weird on his neck and had to get stretchered off, and just talked to Pat Pop, and he's doing okay. He's out of the hospital. Everything's good, but it was great to see how quick the medical response was. Cody, their trainer, great dude, did an awesome job kind of leading that up, and shout out to Sean, VT's trainer, helping out too. But it was great to see all the different teams kind of coming together to help out somebody who needed it. So shout out to those guys.
Awesome. Yeah, always good to have a good trainer on hand. That is for damn sure. Austin, on to you.
From my way in, I'll shout out two wrestlers that we'll probably touch on a little bit later, talking opens, but I'd like to give shout outs to, small schools don't get a lot of love. First one is Raymond Lopez of American. Had maybe the upset of the whole weekend when he pinned Jacob Van D of Nebraska at the Navy Classic. And Lopez went on to win that tournament, beating his own teammate, Max Lee, who was in the rankings. He also pinned him as well. So Lopez, great start to the season so far. And my second shout out is actually from Morgan State, Eugene Harney, 149-pound wrestler, second place at the Navy Classic. I think as a quarters or semis, he beat a former teammate in Dankins of Virginia. Harney and Dankins were both at Campbell last year. Pretty good bout. Harney won 4-2. Just kind of mentioning that because Harney, as I said, Morgan State has not had a NCAA qualifier since they kind of reinstated their program a few years ago. Last year, their heavyweight was the first alternate, and he might be out for the entire season this year with a knee injury. So looking to hopefully get him back in the mat soon if he's able to. Not super likely though, so Harney might be the guy that comes in and takes that role as the first NCAA qualifier for the Bears of Morgan State, coached by Kenny Monday. So that's my quick weigh-in for this week. Just two small school guys that I thought made a nice impression opening week.
Love it. Kevin, on to you.
I got a couple to shout out here. First, since I'm wearing the shirt, let's go Michigan State Open this weekend. I was very excited to go. As it turns out, I'm not going to be there. They did not consult my friends and I on when we play our annual big flag football game, which happens to be that day. So I'll be doing that. But I will be down in Ann Arbor on Sunday calling the duel against Michigan versus VMI on Military Appreciation Day. So that's very exciting. Happy to go down there and see Coach Jim Gibson, meet him and the rest of the Michigan staff. Also wanted to shout out two more quick ones. Forest Hills Wrestling. I got my hat on for that too. My youngest son, Miles, had his first wrestling practice today. It was just a bunch of kindergartners through first graders, just running around trying to do cartwheels and somersaults and not knowing what the hell they're doing. And it was fantastic. So I'm very excited to see how that progresses throughout the year. They did have fun though. Last shout out, Braxton Amos, back wrestling, heavyweight, Wisconsin, got a fall. It was an awesome match. At one point he had a nice body lock lifted, slammed him down. You're like, that's the Braxton Amos we've been watching since he was a kid from West Virginia. And he got into trouble at one point during the match, but then ended up just going upper body again and got the fall with 6 minutes and some seconds left. So very exciting to see Braxton Amos out there as Wisconsin won, I think, like 35-3 or something like that. So against North Dakota State, who's not a bad team. So good for Wisconsin in general, too.
Yeah, Wisconsin's got a couple of guys in there that I think should make a lot of noise. Obviously, Braxton being one of them, Zan Fugit another. That we saw do some damage last year. Not surprising to see Braxton slamming people. Fun fact, he actually stopped playing football because he slammed a quarterback in high school and was kicked out of the game. So
can I quick shout out Joey Zargo too?
Yes.
It looks miserable to wrestle that guy. It's just hairs flying everywhere and every club is just so violent and it's just, yeah, man, that looks awful. So shout out to him too.
Yeah. I'm sure that for Boner and Reader, it's good to have all those guys back in the lineup this year. So looking forward to seeing what Wisconsin does. Awesome shout outs, gentlemen. Before we get to our topics, we did a shoe giveaway to kick off the season, and we have to announce the winner. And the winner, man, nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. 9 out of 10 correct, was 1 point off from the total and did not go over. And that winner is Laura Danforth. The only one she had wrong was she picked Daniel Cardenas to win at 157. He did not. And she also had total points scored at 87. There was 88 total points scored throughout collectively from all of those matches. So Laura, be on the lookout for an email from QuadPod. I will respond to the email that you sent to submit all of your picks with all of the codes and things. You can head on to Adidas Wrestling, snag a pair of shoes. Make sure when you get them, you do post, tag us so we know that you did receive them. But yeah, congratulations to you. I believe you did better than everyone, not just in the contest, but us as well, to
Yeah.
be completely
I don't
honest.
know. My picks were perfect. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I was going through these, I was like, oh, nice. Like the first person had 8 correct. The next person had 8 correct. And then I think she was like third or fourth on the list of people that had submitted. And I'm like, well, shit, the rest of you guys, I don't even know if I need to check anything. Like, I don't think anyone else has 10 out of 10. And I did the point scoring last because she had more than everybody else. Everyone else had either 8 or 7 correct. Um, and then some people had like 117 points. There were some that had like 107. And then like when I added everything up and it came to 88, I was like, Laura, I need the lottery numbers, please.
Right. For real.
Something. But congrats to you. Like I said, be on the lookout for an email that will come your way by the end of the day tomorrow, Tuesday, I should say, when this is published, and then you can go on snag your shoes. So pretty awesome job by her. Um, I think, I mean, I'm not sure if you guys saw, but we had, was it Wrestling Madness reached out about the next Pick'em contest. And so we'll probably do a collab with them next time we put that out. I also talked with our other sponsor, Poseidon Strength. So, you know, as we're giving shout outs here, shout out to Mark. He stopped in to my job at Nutrabolt where I work, or as most people know, C4 Energy. And saw the performance center and everything else, got a chance to actually see the tech that they have retrofitted in their van. And at some point we'll probably do a gear giveaway from Poseidon, maybe give away some t-shirts or something like that at some point later on in the year. So another pair of shoes, maybe some Poseidon gear coming. But yeah, it was awesome to catch up with him and hear about some of the schools that are going to be getting some other some Poseidon Strength equipment. As we know, it's already at some schools, Penn State being one of them. You can head on over to Poseidon Strength and check out the video that those guys put out utilizing the infinity rope, which is all awesome stuff. But love our sponsors. It's awesome that they want to give back to the community. We're going to continue to do that. As always, like I said, use our discount codes and stuff to make sure that you are getting the discounts whenever you head to either Poseidon Strength or to Adidas Wrestling. So awesome job by Laura. Awesome by everyone that entered. Really appreciate all the comments, the people entering and everything else. As I said, stay tuned because we got a lot more coming as the season goes on. And speaking of the season, we had some action last week, and let's start with the All-Star Classic as we just went over our Pick'em contest. Kevin, I'm going to start with you. What matches or match really stuck out, or was there somebody in there that you were like, damn, like that's a hell of a way to start off the season?
Yeah, I definitely made fun of Zack Ryder last week, right? And I'll eat crow real quick. I'm not above that. Like, more power to him, man. He took it to Jackson Smith. Just way super physical. Really, really, really impressive. And some of it was tongue in cheek. Like, oh, what is this, a high school all-star duel or whatever? But
Yeah, of course.
I know the guy's a high recruited guy and was wrestling in Penn State last year, and obviously the guys down in Stillwater know what the hell they're doing too. So. But he showed up and he absolutely made a statement, took it to a guy who's been pretty consistently on a high level wrestler. I think he was a blood round guy 2 years ago and then obviously All-American last year. So he's been right there at what is, one of the tougher weight classes in the country, especially last season. Right. So no, very, very impressive by him. I mean, that's the first one that stood out to me. I mean, the guy really showed up and was ready to go and just kicked his butt.
Yeah, agreed. It was interesting to see how both Swiderski as well as Ryder came out under, new regimes, and they were both, not to say that they weren't super aggressive wrestlers when they were with, their old schools, but you always look to see how they have transferred the training in the months that they've been with new teams. And Zach Ryder obviously was a point scoring machine when he was at Penn State. That hasn't changed, but that's a hell of a way to start off the season. Robbie, your thoughts on All-Star Classic? Anyone stick out to you?
Overall, it was a fun night. I think it felt like a really, really long event, but other than that, the wrestling was great for the most part. ACC had a pretty decent showing. Eddie looked great against Sheldon Seymour. The Waters Cardenas match was wild, um, with that overtime finish, and Garvin Brignola was actually a lot better than I was expecting. So ACC wise, I was very impressed. I thought Lucas Bird looked great. Jesse Mendez looked fantastic. Was kind of surprised with how Younger Bastida uh, kind of put it to Gadali. I wasn't expecting a much closer match there.
It looked to me like Tay hasn't been on the mat in a serious competition in a long time, and that's a tough first guy to get after.
In
So I
fairness,
don't know.
neither has Younger.
Fair, okay, yeah, very good point. I don't know. It looked like one of those guys was more ready for a hard fought 7-minute match than the other guy.
I agree.
And
Also,
because
like
I
that
think,
mat was not big enough to contain those two giant people.
yeah. But it looked like Tay faded a bit, and Younger just came on stronger. So I expect Tay's going to put it together a little bit better as the season goes on.
Yeah, I agree with that. It definitely. I'm not wavering from my shot of Tay Gadali being a NCAA finalist just yet.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's one match, but he definitely did not look ready for the match in and of itself. But like even though Jesse Mendez did tear apart Anthony Echemendia, I was impressed by how fresh Echemendia looked at 41.
Mhm.
We'll get to it later, obviously, when we talk about some of the opens, but there were some guys that were down in weight, mainly Buzakis, who I watched just to see how they would look when they're down to a brand new weight class. And, Jesse Mendez is world class, obviously. He's a two-time NCAA champ for a reason, and, is, in my opinion, I think he can be the next guy at potentially 65, right? It's very possible for him to
No, he's
do
shown
that.
that, yeah.
But like Edgemendia didn't look terrible at 141, right? And I think that was the takeaway for me is you knew that Mendez was going to be the guy. There wasn't really much of a question, but it was, how does Etchemendia look, one, coming back from an injury, and two, not just coming back from an injury, but coming back at a lower weight too. So I would like to see him have more offense than trying to dig double unders, as we've seen him do a number of times. But he didn't look gassed to me during the match, which I thought was probably a win in and of itself, because we've seen him not be at his best for sure. So Iowa State guys definitely looked ready to go, even in a loss by Echemendia. Austin, your thoughts?
Yeah, I got a few quick notes here. Agree with most of what you guys are saying. Oklahoma State, I think Swiderski and Ryder both looked good. They looked offensive. They looked like they were attacking a lot. None of us really picked Swiderski. We were kind of questioning why he was kind of in this one a little bit, maybe, and show why he belongs. I think David Taylor is the type of coach, too, that really looks forward to these events and has these guys on the ball in these all-star matches. I think he takes pride in some of these things, and I think he likes that it's a cool event, and his guys are always going to be ready, for these kind of events. I think a lot of us didn't think Rutgers would go 0-2 in this event. We thought they'd have some Jersey Mikes and home court advantage. I know Nick Costco texted us and gave us some shit for not picking Shawver.
I'm never going to pick against the short king, Costco.
Yeah, that's what we do here at the Quad Pod. We're not biased. We don't take that with us. And when we are
I am
biased,
completely
we
biased when it comes to Lucas Bird.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
we admit when we're biased is what I was saying. If we're biased, we'll let you know. But yeah, overall, good showing by Bird. Shows he's ready. And there was one final thing I had here, and it was Mendez. I don't think anyone's going to beat him in freestyle and folk style this year. he just looks so good. The way he stalks, he moves forward, his motion on his feet. Even taking him
Constant
down is a
pressure.
freaking challenge, but
Constant
taking him
pressure.
down, yeah, he's really freaking good. So yeah, that's not breaking any news, obviously, but Mendez is really, really good, and it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be tough to beat him
Yeah, catch him on a bad day, which even then you
if he
probably
has
still
one.
don't want to catch him
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah, the impressive thing for me was Swiderski continuing to fire off shots
Mhm.
and just like going for it and going for it. As you said, him and Ryder were super offensive. The score for Swiderski may have only been 4-2, but like it was not from a lack of trying. Like he was continuing, even being up 4-2, wanted more takedowns, wanted more points, which was awesome. Um, the other takeaway, and I'm sure Costco will probably fire off another text for this, but like I thought that attendance would have been a lot better at Jersey Mike's than what it looked.
Agreed.
I I really for how they pack that for a Rutgers duel, I thought, man, this is the perfect atmosphere for it. These guys are going to get rowdy. I understand that they get rowdy for their own guys, but they had two of them in there, and one of them was facing off with the returning NCAA champion. So why would you not want to show up for him? And then the other is your brand new, transfer that you want to give a warm welcome for. So I'm sorry, but I was disappointed in the showing from Jersey Mike's. I thought that there would be more butts in seats, and there was a lot more empty seats in the crowd than I expected there to be for an all-star duel to kick off the season. I thought it was like I said, I thought it was going to be the perfect atmosphere to start the season. Rowdy on the East Coast, and just wasn't there. But the wrestling was great. The wrestling was still there. I think that a lot of guys showed up and they were ready to wrestle, win, lose, or not. I think the one guy that certainly didn't look, I guess, the part was Gadali, but I think that there's a lot of upside with a guy like him where once you truly get him moving and get him going, he'll be in really good shape. Any other takeaways from the All-Star Classic, fellas?
We can't move on without talking about Little and Novak and that headlock call.
Yeah. What'd you make of that?
I've never seen that call made once in my entire life. I don't know if it's the right call or not. I don't think it is, but I've literally never seen it made. And especially for it to be made when you go to the review and then are like, oh, look at that. It's like, that's not what we're challenging, or that's not what's being reviewed. Maybe it was.
Yeah, but they can see anything they see in a review, they can call and change a call. And if
Yeah.
there's a rule by application, which by application that was the right call, I don't think anybody would call it in the moment or in the progression of wrestling, which they didn't. But if it's a situation where you're looking at it and that you see that, you don't have a choice but to call that. And it's not the answer I would have liked. I wanted Novak to win. But I talked to McCormick this weekend because he was in Roanoke, and his thought was, the arm with the head was encircled without an arm. That's not legal by application. So right call, shitty situation. And had they not thrown the brick, they would have gone to double overtime, right? Because that was the first sudden victory, correct?
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they would have gone to rideouts. So it's one of those situations where I would have thrown the brick because I thought there was a takedown. And I think most coaches would have thrown the brick there, especially when you only have one guy going, and what else are you going to use it for? But unfortunately, that was very clear when you're watching it in slow-mo. It sucks, but
Yeah. Very interesting situation. Yeah. There's really not much else you can truly say about it. Just a very interesting situation that I have never seen before.
I want to see it called a lot now then. I want to see it called every time. If you're going to call it there, then you got to call it with more consistency than that. Like, I think we watch a shit ton of wrestling, right?
Yeah.
And don't you think it's a call you would have seen it at some point before?
Let's get something straight there. They can't even call stalling with consistency.
Maybe if they put it to a
You
review.
can fucking call out of bounds with consistency.
Let's start calling stalling on all reviews. He did step backwards. Stalling, as it turns out.
Yeah, like obviously we're 1 week in, and I guess if we're
Look,
gonna,
I'll bitch about it right now.
if we're gonna give a
officiating.
little bit of grace to the wrestlers not being prepared, I'll give a little bit of grace for the referees too. But
I'll give a little bit, but god damn it, just be consistent. That's all we're asking. Like you don't have to be great, but if you can't be consistent within the same match, just I don't. That's what I don't understand. Like I understand missed calls. I understand this is the first weekend out and they're going to be rusty. But when you're making inconsistent calls for the same guys in the same match, that shit doesn't make any sense. And there was two officials. I'm not going to say their names. I told you one of them this weekend. The other one's also another MAC official, but I was blown away by the inconsistency I saw for them because they're both usually pretty good officials, and none of the coaches knew what to expect because none of them knew what the hell was going on because the calls were so wildly different. And I mean, I saw a pin that was completely out of bounds on a scramble. It was a touch fall, but both guys were completely out of bounds. I saw stalling not called at all or called on the wrong guy. It was just fucking weird. And like, just be consistent, please. That's all I want.
yeah, that is something, right? Like you are setting a precedent for the season, right? I think that was last year, right? That we talked about how, one of the coaches, I think Robbie, it was you that brought it up, that said something about, a coach walking over to a ref and saying, is there something that I should be looking out for? And they're like, oh, well, they're telling us to emphasize this, this, and this. And it's like, unless they ask those things, they don't know because it's not being relayed to anyone. And I actually, I don't think I brought it up back then, but a friend of mine, his dad is an NFL ref. And I asked him, like, in the NFL, like, how does it work on rule application and what is being emphasized and what they're looking at? And he's like, everything gets relayed to the coaches. Like, there isn't much secrecy. I mean, the coaches don't like when things are applied. I think, what was it, 2 years ago? There was a illegal formation that was called in like the first game like 9 times when it was and it was like the worst thing because it was killing everything, and they adjusted right the next time out, but like it was something that was a point of emphasis in that season, and since then it hasn't been much of an issue. The same is obviously not to be said about wrestling, where Robbie, you're saying like there's no consistency. I mean, obviously it is week one, but like you have to, as a referee, you have to set the bar for what is to come throughout the season, because coaches aren't really in those meetings of or getting those emails or text messages about what sort of emphasis the rule is going to get, some sort of emphasis. So like consistency is definitely necessary for wrestling, but I don't think that we can ever truly get it because there's so many different interpretations of every single rule that it is very hard to do.
There was that one
I just
year
want
where
to within the same match, just be consistent within the same match at least. Like it's not that hard.
Yeah.
remember when they had that year where they were like, no hands to the face, we're gonna call that, and they called it like all the time, and everybody was like, this sucks, like this is part of it, like we're not just trying to like punch them in the face, like sure, call that, but like some of this is setting up a shot.
Yeah, now they're like not below the eyebrows.
Yeah.
So I want somebody to wax their eyebrows and we'll see what happens.
All we ask for is some damn consistency. How about that?
Charlie Villanueva is an excellent wrestler. Somebody gets that. Alopecia. All right. Anyway.
I got you.
Thank you.
I got it. Let's move on. Let's go to these open tournaments. And Robbie, I'm coming back to you because you saw a ton of wrestling this weekend. You were in the presence of a wrestling tournament this weekend as well. So give us, what were some of your notable things outside of the inconsistent refereeing, obviously? Some of your most notable things that you had seen this weekend.
I stood for like 14 hours straight. That was not optimal. I don't recommend that. No, it's good wrestling. Really, really good field this year at Southeast Open. There was ranked guys in every weight. I was impressed with Minnesota overall. They're really, really strong. Wasn't expecting. I knew they had a lot of strength with certain guys, but just kind of across the board, they looked really good. And North Carolina, some of their younger guys look really good. I was impressed with that. Citadel was super gritty. They were kind of in every match and made some runs. They was definitely impressed by that. The F&M 125 scared the shit out of me because he looked like a wild man and like was chasing was it Brandon Brown, the Maryland guy?
Mhm.
2125.
Braxton
Laper.
Brown.
Braxton Brown
Braxton
at
Brown. Like
33.
he was chasing him around the mat. Yeah, maybe he was 33. I don't know.
Yep.
Dude has a big ass beard. He's scary looking. But he was
Yep.
like sprinting around the mat chasing him. It was intense. Um, who else was I impressed by? Dylan Campbell for VT won it at 33 and looked fantastic. Coy Biskins looked good at 49. Upper weights look great. Hopkey, I was really, really impressed with for Minnesota. That one kind of stood out to me. Yeah. Those are the big ones that stood out to me.
Austin, EAWA.
Yeah, we mentioned Raymond Lopez in my kind of weigh in here, and obviously won the title at the Navy Open at 133. Pinning Van D from Nebraska was All-American last year, and then pinned Lee. I know he was losing to Van D. Maybe it's tough because you didn't see these matches. You weren't allowed to video anything or stream anything from Navy, so just going on what was
Stupid
reading.
military.
I know. Yeah, it's annoying, but obviously I get it. But I heard he was losing, and late in the match, I hit a cement mixer, so that kind of made me happy if that's true. So props to Raymond Lopez. Army had a bunch of, I think they had 15 placers at the Princeton Open. Our guy Gunnar Flipovitz won. Brady Colbert at heavyweight won, and then Army had a third and fourth place at heavyweight as well. So they were pretty much locking down the entire heavyweight division. Looking down the results here, I did want to shout out James Conway, 184-pound F&M champ at Southeast Open. I'm sure Robbie saw him kind of beat the crap out of everybody there. Great performance. Matty Lopes from Lehigh won the Princeton Open. He's wrestling unattached this year at 133. Rylan Rogers also won up at 184. I think this is the right weight class for him. Last year he was 74, had a big cut, didn't perform well. So good to see him at the proper weight class.
He was at
Morgan
Michigan
State.
at one point, right?
Yeah,
Was,
started at
yeah.
Michigan. Yeah. Great recruit coming out of high school. Didn't really work out in Michigan. Came to Lehigh, cut a lot of weight last year. Now he's up at 184, and he beat McDonald of Oregon State, who was a qualifier last year. So good win for him in week one. Shouted out Eugene Harney from Morgan State, second place. Great wins there at Navy Classic. Speaking of Navy, pretty good bout that they had with Pitt on Saturday. Danny Wask.
That was a good duel.
Danny Wask had a last second takedown to avoid the upset there.
That was nice.
Spencer Nazga, Navy as a freshman, he beat Pittsburgh back-to-back days, which is really, really impressive for him as a freshman there. So definitely a guy to look out for. And then
maxed out in his mustache, won the championship.
Yeah, he dominated there, I saw, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there, but yeah, a lot of good results all around. And like I said, Raymond Lopez starting off with a bang this year, 2 pins over 2 ranked guys, and wasn't really projected to be the starter. So things might change now at this point. Still a long season, but yeah, way to come out and pin a returning All-American for week one. Pretty incredible.
Yeah. Kevin.
Yeah, Purdue went out west this weekend, and they got a hard-fought win over Cal Poly in a really exciting duel there. So really good for them. And then they had Cal State Bakersfield shortly thereafter, beat them up pretty good. So happy for them. I mean, I saw an interview after the fact with Ersland, and he was basically like, it's a long trip. Going even from Cal Poly to Bakersfield is not like the easiest trip. you got guys making weight early in the season, back-to-back days, and for them to show up and wrestle as well as they did was really impressive. I already shouted out Wisconsin earlier, beating up on North Dakota State. And then, yeah, I mean, it's Big Ten. You got a lot of those Big Ten guys already wrestling in the All-Star Classic. But Rutgers did host Gardner-Webb and a couple other teams there for a nice little event. I believe they won all of those duels. Gardner-Webb beat up on the other two teams that were there too, so shout out to them. And, yeah, was it Hopke was the guy who the heavyweight that you mentioned, Robbie, that was beating up on Jimmy Mullins? Dude,
yeah, he put it on him. That was
yeah.
He was 7-0 real quick. And
yeah,
he was pushing Jimmy around the mat.
That was tough. That was a tough look for Mullins. But hey, Hopke might be just that dude. And talking about other guys jumping into that Minnesota lineup, was it Charlie Millard? I think that's what his name is. 157. Yeah, he looked like a beast too. So very impressive weekend for those gentlemen.
He hit on one other one at Navy. Kevion Roller sounded like he put together a hell of a tournament. So keep your eye on him. He's gonna be real good at 25 this year.
Yeah. Speaking of 25, I mentioned it before. Nick Bouzakis at 25. I was very interested to see how he looked down a weight class. Obviously Ben Davino is going to be taking over at 133. He ended up winning the Clarion Open. But Bouzakis loses to Brendan McCrone, his own teammate, 5-4, and he got injured during the match. Ended up continuing to wrestle the match, but got hurt and kind of came back and was a point away from winning it. But he didn't, as I said with Echemendia at 41 at the All-Star Classic. He didn't look gassed. He didn't look like he was sucked out. Didn't look like he was, didn't look like he did the weight cut correctly and everything else. So, yeah, that was one of the things that I wanted to take notice of. The other was Cody Chittum wrestling unattached. He did get injured at the Southeast Open, and it looked like his hip or something to that nature. He ended up getting hurt, but he was wrestling very well prior to that. Very, very well.
He did look good.
He
did look good. His gas tank was a little iffy, but I think that's just kind of a result of rust. But he looked solid.
Yeah, he certainly did. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I know people are probably, I shouldn't say tired of it. Maybe they are. Who knows? But Bo Bassett and Melvin Miller winning the Clarion Open. And before the tournament even started, causing some shit because they had to reseed the tournament for high school guys. Mostly because Bo Bassett won the tournament last year, right? So very interesting to see how that kind of played out. And the other part of that was Jax Forrest on Twitter saying, that he wanted to go to the Clarion Open, but they told him that it was not a good idea coming off of U23s and he shouldn't be doing that and everything else. So just very interesting dynamic around the high schoolers wrestling in college opens to start the season.
I think Jax would have been just fine.
Just fine. I mean,
they looked great.
Who knows? Like, would he have wrestled 41? Or would he have been at 49? Because my other thought is like, could him and Bo like ended up wrestling and they don't want to see that happen? That's just like,
that's possible.
Maybe that's the cynical part of me, right? Where he's like, I'm not gonna cut any weight. I'm just gonna wrestle. And maybe he's a 41, maybe he's a 33 right now. And I say right now because he's not in season yet. He's coming off a tournament where I'm sure he's been eaten since leaving that tournament. He obviously probably keeps it under control, but like maybe that's just me being cynical of like wanting to see that match, wanting to see Bo and Jax Forrest wrestle each other. But I think he would have been absolutely just fine wrestling in that tournament. The other result that I took notice of and went back and watched the match was Brock Hardy winning 4-3 over Dylan Chapel in the finals of the Navy Classic as well. And I think we had mentioned last year, or at least we mentioned last show, how Ridge Lovett had a close match, and I should look back and see who made the comment, but we were talking about Coder Hunt. I said it was Wask. I asked if it was Wask, but it was Coder Hunt that he had that close match with. So, not the first Nebraska wrestler to have a tough match at the Navy Classic in the finals, but always very interesting just to see where some of the top guys are maybe struggling a little bit in the first weekend of the season when they're in some of these opens. But for the most part, Nebraska didn't really struggle when it came to the Navy Classic. I mean, they were undefeated. Excuse me, no. Camden McDaniel did not win at 97, but everybody else won. All red.
It's because he had to fight Maxed Out's mustache.
Yeah, that's
It's not gonna win that.
That's not an easy task.
I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
No AJ Ferrari, which we kind of expected. But
Yeah, people were surprised by that. I don't know why anybody's surprised by
Yeah.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
he'll wrestle
he's
half the
going to be
season,
limited.
and
It's-
him
Yeah,
and
Russell-
Ziola were
Yeah.
both entered and then not entered. But like, guys, come on.
I think the
Really
more
expect-
surprising part about that is they're flying across the country. So like this was already known. Like you're not changing your flight itinerary and who's flying with you last minute. This was known. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing that was weird.
And
That-
Holmes,
yeah.
to your point, Hardy won the Navy Classic last year. He beat Dylan Chapel 2-0 a season ago as well. So I'm not sure if it's style matchup there. I mean, Chapel's tough. He was around the 12 last year, obviously, but maybe a stylistic matchup there that gives Hardy some fits.
Yeah, maybe. Robbie, to your point about, you're flying and you know who's going with you and everything else, you can probably update the entries prior to and everything else. Who was it that said that you should be putting out? Was it Trent said that you should be putting out your lineups prior to any competition, everything else like that? And shout out to Tony Ramos for responding and saying that they are going to be on top of things like that this year.
He was really upfront about that. He said that's something they're focusing on is making sure that their fans know who's going to be where and who's competing, even when they're going to be split squad or people at some opens and some at others. They want people to know who's going to be where. I love it. Like we need that transparency.
It sounds like they listened to the interview that the GOAT from their university discussed showing up for the fans in the most recent interview. So, listen to the GOAT, which is Michael Jeffrey Jordan, by the way. If you were
that really his middle name.
What's that?
Yeah, that's his middle name.
That is middle.
Is it with a J or a G?
I believe it's a G.
Oh, interesting.
I'm glad you clarified. I think some people might have thought you were talking about James Worthy.
This is true.
But now we're
This is true. Well, we did have last time I said that on episode 23, we did have people say that LeBron is the GOAT. And
they can
shut
fuck
up.
off. So, there's that, right? So is what it is. But no, I mean on the first weekend of wrestling, very awesome first weekend of wrestling. Just let's call it what it is. No matter what event you were watching, you saw some very good wrestling and some guys that really laid it all out there on the line. Even
I think we should hit on the Stanford UVU duel.
Was that not good?
The more I'm looking at it, I mean, I expected Adams guys to be ready to go. It's a home duel, their home opener. He's going to have them ready to roll. We knew Stanford wasn't going to have a full squad because they had Garvin and Cardenas at the All-Star Classic.
Mm-hmm.
But mind you, I was watching this while watching the All-Star Classic, so I didn't pay enough attention to it. They didn't have two of their other starters in as well. They didn't have Nico Provo in, and they didn't have Lorenzo Norman in. So I'll be very interested to see if they're going to have a full strength squad at Oklahoma State this weekend, because that makes a big difference. And not to take anything away from Utah Valley, because they wrestled incredibly well. They had some upsets. The Evans Valencia match was awesome. So that's not to take away from them by any means. But I want to see what Stanford looks like with their full lineup.
Yeah, what do you make of that Valencia match? I don't know. Like, what do you make of that result?
I don't know. I mean, it was a sloppy finish. Like, you can't put yourself in that position. Um, some people are immediately went to he should have stayed at 41, not 49. He's not ready for that. I don't know. The match looked fine to me. Certainly wasn't his best showing, and it wasn't a good finish for him. But I think he'll be fine at 49. It's definitely going to be an adjustment, and I think it may take a little time for him to get used to the bigger bodies. But I think it's a fine weight for him. And EJ Parker looked great up a weight. So
I think
Sometimes it
Valencia is
just
pretty inconsistent too when it comes to some of these results, right? Like he'll wrestle someone really, really well, and then he'll lose to somebody he kind of has no business losing to. Nothing, obviously, Evans doesn't fit that, but he was kind of favored to win that one, Valencia, and then Evans ended up on top. I feel like that's kind of Valencia. He's kind of up and down a little bit.
yeah, and don't take anything away from David Evans. He's good. And
Definitely
I
not.
think
No,
we're going
no.
to see a very similar thing that we saw with Barraclaw. It's like that's a guy who couldn't crack the lineup at Penn State, but he's
Mhm.
got a hell of a lot of talent, and with the right coaching staff and given a chance, I mean, he can make some noise.
100%. And like it's not the same for everyone. People switching weights, it's different results. People do it for different reasons, right? But think about Garrett Thompson last year for Ohio. Goes up to 174, slow start to the season. I mean, it was like 1-2 at one of the opening tournaments, just like not great. Maybe he was 2-2. I don't know. But he ends up, he was an All-American last year, right? On the podium, I think. I mean, he figured it out. By the time Max was rolling around, he beat the snot out of Alex Kramer, who I think was ranked like, I don't know, depending on the poll, somewhere between like 9 and 13 at the time. So, yeah, sometimes it just takes a minute to get used to it. Maybe it's just a mental thing for some of these guys as they make those changes. But one way or another, he'll figure it out, or he'll do the Anthony Ecomendea thing where the coach
Whoa,
says,
don't.
no. The weight when you go, I'm going to go up
The
and weight,
wrestling
coach.
thing.
Oh,
The wrestling thing.
that thing.
Yeah, the
Oh,
wrestling
okay.
thing. Yeah,
Thank
the,
you for
the
clarifying that.
the weight class
Appreciate it.
thing.
Let's
Yeah,
not put that
you
on
go,
him. Don't
I'm
put
gonna
that
go up
evil
a
on him,
weight
Ricky
class,
Bobby.
right? They go, no, sounds good. Give it a shot. See how it works. Oh,
So you could have gone with Panero Johnson and be like, just go to 7 different weight classes. But
yeah,
then we could have stayed
ice,
away from felonies, and that would have been
couple
good.
cyclones.
Let's do that.
Good times. But no, I think he'll be fine. He's a smart kid. He'll figure it out as the season goes on.
I know we talked about it in our text group, so I'm gonna pull the pin and throw this grenade in here. Nick Hamilton getting kind of done in at 174 in the quarterfinals, 13-4 by a Drexel Dragon. Which one of you wants to go first? I know there's some shit talk that is probably going to come of this from Austin or Robbie.
I can't say shit. I mean, it sounded like Hamilton got his ass beat.
13-4 ain't pretty.
Didn't see it, so I don't know. Interested to talk to Steve and see what he saw. And I don't know. I can't. That's a paddling. That's not much you can say about that.
Is it the weight? You think it's the weight cut a little bit? I mean, I know Garland talked about thick milkshakes in that interview that you had, and he was one of those thick
Gable
guys.
Porter's the thick milkshake.
I know he was one of the milk. But he did say, speaking of thickness, and he transitioned to Hamilton in that one.
No, he's big. I mean, he's cutting to 74. I mean, it would have had to cut his leg off to get to 65. So it's certainly still a cut for him, but I mean, can't use it. You can't use the excuse of cutting when you're going up weight class. I don't think that's allowed.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, and not you can't take away from Queen either because he's good, and Austin's been singing his praises for a while that he's kind of on that edge, on that precipice of breaking out, and maybe this was his coming out party.
Yeah. Austin, what do you
Yeah,
think of the match?
yeah. 74 was tough because you had Queen, like we were talking about, kind of beat the crap out of Hamilton. He also beat Tackett's of Bucknell, who was ranked 17th in the country, and Tackett's was, I think, around a 16 guy last year, won a few match
He's
NCAs. And Tackett's had Minto of Nebraska pretty much beat in the semis or the quarters, wherever they met. Just had a mental lapse and lost that match. So yeah, that was a tough bracket to begin with, and Queen came out third, Wask was second, and Minto won. I think he majored Wask pretty easily in the finals there. So
Did
yeah,
they
tough
do
bracket
the
overall.
semifinal losers go for third and fourth? Is that how that they split that? And then
I
everybody
think
else
that's
wrestles
how it
back to
is.
fifth and
Yeah,
sixth. Because Hamilton ended up fifth, so he wrestled back. And
yeah.
I mean
I think
that's
I
good.
think loser semis went for third and fourth, which is where Queen and Tackett's met. So yeah, and those guys are always close in the IWA. So yeah, I think that was one of the tougher brackets, a bunch of ranked guys that weekend. And yeah, I think you said it's still early. I'm sure Hamilton will adjust, but I think Queen is a guy to look out for Drexel. He's legit, man.
Yeah.
He'll have to figure it out because 74 is a hell of a weight in the ACC too. So he's going to have to lock it down.
Yeah.
Anything else on the college ranks from last week? I know the I do want to talk a little bit about RAF. I know we didn't have it on the agenda, but they've released a lot of matchups for their third card, so I want to at least get some thoughts on that. But anything on the college ranks from last week that we missed so far? I know there's a ton of wrestling that went on, but we hit our high level points at least that we wanted to hit already, right?
Yeah,
I think
I
so.
think there was the big things.
Yeah.
Princeton Open, anything good at Princeton we missed?
The match at 25 was interesting to me. Maximo Renneria and Mark Anthony McGowan. I mean, it's a 16 versus 18. The higher ranked guy won, but those are two guys that were both qualifiers last year, and obviously McGowan was dangerously close to a win to make, what was it, the quarters, I believe.
I think so. Yeah.
So like these guys are just like on the cusp. So that was one that I paid a little bit of attention to, and I still want to go back and watch it. I was just looking for the result as I was looking at brackets and stuff, but yeah, the one at 25 was probably the most interesting for me at the Princeton Open for sure.
Yeah, McGowan, what was it, cadet world champion a couple years back? So like that guy's an absolute stud, and
He's like it's 73 pounds though.
yeah, but that's how much he weighed a couple years ago, Robbie. Like that's how it works.
Everyone weighs
Like,
73
he
in
doesn't-
first grade like you.
He doesn't weigh that now.
Let's
He
just be
wrestles
glad that he's
125.
filled in at 125.
Yeah.
Like
he was
Kurt
low.
McHenry, who was winning a lot of those small titles and could not get enough weight on to wrestle 25.
Well, and McGowan is cutting pretty decent to get down to 25 from what I understand. So
Yeah, he's pretty tall.
Yeah, he's a big dude for 125. And yeah, almost beat Vincent Robinson before Vincent Robinson won it all. So he's clearly talented.
I feel like Rademacher had a good weekend too.
Yeah, he majored in the finals. Yeah, my question was Chance Lamer. Why was he at Princeton Open as Nebraska when Nebraska was at Navy?
He's unattached for the first semester. I thought was what I had heard.
Is that what it is? Okay.
I believe that was my understanding. I'll check. I think I have a message about that.
He's listed at Nebraska, so maybe it's just something in the system there. But yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
I thought
maybe
that was
because
interesting.
all the other
Nebraska's
guys
at
are
Navy
listed
Classic.
as like unrostered or unattached, and he's listed as Nebraska. So yeah, it is certainly very weird.
Yeah, so he's not eligible till the second semester.
Yeah. Maybe that's the case.
Okay.
Yeah, let's turn the page to like I said, I know we didn't have it on the agenda, but RAF put out a number of matchups for RAF 3, which is going to be in Chicago. And I don't know about you guys, but I was like, yes, good job, good matchup, good job, good job. What the hell are we doing? It was
Yeah,
like
that's
just like one of those things where it was just very confusing. Like you give me Jo Real Woods, but then you throw old timers back in there, and you put Caden Henschel back in there as well. And it's just like very confusing to me just to look at these matchups. I
yeah.
ultimately think that the Jo Real Woods match is going to be very good.
Mhm.
That is one that I'm like, all right, nicely done. Like
And Austin
very good
O'Connor,
job.
Austin Gomez, that's going to be
Mhm.
awesome.
Going to be great. Darian Caldwell, Bo Bassett, not going to
Why?
be great.
Why are we doing that? Why do we have a high school kid against the
I
one of the oldest guys on the card?
I'm kind of just at this point, like, I don't know. I loved WWE and WCW like back in the day. I watched that stuff every Monday and Thursday, and you'd have like an awesome Intercontinental Championship match or a tag team match, and then you'd have like, you know, D'Lo Brown versus one of the Hardy Boys for the hardcore title or some like weird match, right? And you're just like, I'm not really here for this, but I'm also going to watch it, because coming up next is Austin O'Connor versus Austin Gomez, which, by the way, I really liked Yanni's tweet. It was like, I'm going to be, coming up next, me versus an Austin from Illinois.
Yeah. Yeah, like
But I don't know. You got to throw one of those on there, and it's going to get some people to watch it and download Fox Nation and do
No,
those things because
nobody's
they're big names.
watching for fucking Clay Guida and Caden Henschel.
no,
I've,
they're
I've
not.
Clay Guida's kids, maybe? I mean, who else is going to sign up to watch that?
That's a stream. You get that.
That's
I I had a friend of mine text me, right, like Corey Anderson, Pat Downey, right? I had a friend of mine text me and ask me like what I thought about these. I mean, getting Spencer Lee on here, which I wish that they would have gotten a better picture of Spencer. He looks ghostly in this picture, and I don't mean just his skin tone. He looks so skinny in this picture that they have of Spencer Lee on here. Um, but I had a friend ask, like, what do you make of these matchups, right? And I'm like, I feel like for some of these guys, like Darian Caldwell or Michael Chandler, um, or even Pat Downey and Caden Henschel, right? Like, I feel like they signed multi-match deals, is what I feel like. And that's why they're on here, right? Like, I mean, hey, listen, if they're truly on here because they feel like these are the guys that want to be part of RAF and everything else, then okay, fine. But this was at least conveyed to us, and I know we've said it before, as a way for our guys to make a living and have like an actual sustainable professional wrestling league. And I'm sorry, but like putting Clay Guida on the card or putting Darian Caldwell on the card or Michael Chandler and Chad Mendez on the card, like these guys are 40 and 39. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that I started this all by saying I might do a charity boxing match, but the key in there is charity boxing here, guys. Like I'm not
Mhm.
like there's nothing in that where it's trying to be sustainable. Like they are pushing RAF to be a sustainable wrestling, professional wrestling league, freestyle wrestling league. And it just feels like they're far away from that with some of the matchups that they have. And I get it. You have to fill the card and everything else, but you know, you're telling me that there's, that Ridge Lovett isn't available. You're telling me Ridge Lovett is, hey, who knows? Maybe he's hurt and I don't know. But, Ridge Lovett is definitely somewhere out there that can be on this card wrestling someone if healthy. So
Who's the Wyoming guy that had awesome hair who was a 2-time finalist?
Bryce Meredith.
Bryce
Yes,
Meredith.
thank you. I was forgetting. Sorry,
Yeah,
Bryce.
he'd be good.
He already tweeted out a couple times like, I'll wrestle one of those guys. And he was like, I'll literally wrestle anybody. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, get him. I know we keep going back to this, but Doug Schwab versus Chris Bono. If we're gonna get old guys, let's at least make it fun. You know?
Fuck yes. I would pay to watch that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not realistic. I know that, but still,
Yeah.
Bryce Meredith. I'll watch him. I'll watch him
But
versus Bo Bassett.
I'd rather see that. That makes more sense to me. Like, it's for all the goodwill we're garnering and building by getting guys like Tazudinov on the card. You're losing that goodwill when you have Mendez and Chandler. Like, what are we getting with 40-year-old guys who haven't wrestled in 15 years? Like,
And
that's
seemed to be the headliner, honestly.
yeah,
by the graphics.
and I still get like you're trying to draw over the fans and you're trying to get numbers, and I get that, but I don't think that there's enough crossover and enough of an audience that's going to follow them to ostensibly a different sport. Like, that's like asking them to follow them to bare knuckle boxing. Like that's not happening either. That's why those leagues are not doing well, because the crossover's not there. Like, they want to watch these guys in UFC and Bellator and all those organizations because that's where they compete, and that's the what they want to watch. They don't want to watch freestyle. They want to watch freestyle, then let's put a good freestyle product out there.
Agreed. I got no notes for any of that.
It's kind of crazy to think that like the Bill Farrell might just be more fun to watch.
Probably.
There's going to be some fire ass matches at the Bill Farrell.
I saw today that Ono is going to be at the Bill Farrell.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh yes.
It's gonna be fun.
Now, I will say though, Jordan Oliver, Real Woods could be a real fun match, and
Fire.
Jo always entertains. So
I think that's a bad
Yeah.
matchup for Real Woods. I kind of feel like.
I agree.
Yeah, but
He's slick.
always has
Jo
been.
got the dad strength now too, so
yeah,
he's gonna be stronger.
yeah. Speaking of dad strength, shout out to Steve Middich. I believe Steve Middich just welcomed another kid to the mix.
Another girl. Yep.
So yeah, nice job. So to wrap up, I wanna show just like a sneak peek clip of my conversation with Enock, and in this clip he talks about like why the transition, and his relationship also with Rob Cole and those guys too. So check out this clip. The whole entire interview will be out tomorrow, Wednesday, when you're watching this on Tuesday probably, so it'll be out on Wednesday. Being on the college level for so long, what enticed you to go to the high school ranks and take this position with IMG?
Well, I appreciate it, Ryan, and thanks for having me. It's definitely a pleasure to be able to connect with you on this platform. But, I mean, it's very, very easy to answer. As we were catching up before jumping on, it's one of those places that's magical here. As soon as you step foot on campus in this community, to meet the people and just see the resources, it's something very easy to say yes to, because it's just not something you experience or get to feel and see, and get a chance, opportunity to do so. An opportunity to come here and build from the ground up, leave your mark, create a great legacy, and do something special. It's hard to pass up on when all you see in front of you is opportunities to succeed.
So shout out to Enock for coming on. Really enjoyed the conversation that I had with him, and I think that we're going to certainly foster a relationship with IMG Wrestling, and something that you didn't see in that clip is that he said that they will be releasing their coaching staff in about 2 weeks, so that we have that to look forward to. And I don't know, once you guys listen to the interview, tell me if I'm wrong or not, but and mind you, at this point, I do not know who the coaches are. It feels like he was foreshadowing that it is guys that have been on the college coaching ranks, not the high school. So I'm looking forward to, whenever he either shoots me a text and says, hey, this is who they are, or they actually announce it, whatever else. But um, look for some even more content coming from us with IMG and NCSA, as NCSA is one of the partners with IMG, to find coaches, wrestlers, all different types of things to support that program. But again, I appreciate IMG for agreeing to the interview, allowing it all to happen, and getting a good time for him and I to sit down and chat about all those things. Um, Gentlemen, that is it for episode 26. We've got our first recap in the books for the 2025-2026 season. Lots of great scrapping went on last week. As always, make sure you guys like, share, comment. Let us know who you were watching out for last week. Maybe there's some results that you had seen that we maybe missed, or just something that was really impressive to you last week. Throughout the entire weekend, whether it is the All-Star or any of the open tournaments, or maybe there was a dual meet or something. Even if it's like a D2, D3 dual meet, like, let us know that some cool wrestling is going on. As a D3 guy, I thoroughly enjoy watching some of the people on the D3 level scrap, honestly. So, but as I said, we appreciate you guys listening and watching the Quad Pod. Shout out to our sponsors, Poseidon Strength and Adidas Wrestling. Shout out to our first shoe giveaway winner. As I said, be on the lookout for my email to you, and you will get all those discount codes and everything else for your free pair of shoes. But we will see you guys next time on Friday on our next episode here of the Quad Pod.